I remember just yelling and like in pain and kept telling her to take pictures or whoever was in the room. I didn't even remember who was in the room.
So why'd you want them to take pictures?
Because I thought I might have had a case.
I wasn't sure if you were trying to post it to the gram. Because if you know, my boy Rob, man, he's got like 15 Instagram accounts, man. The dog has an Instagram account. He's like, take pictures for the gram, please. So you ready for episode number 2, bro?
Let's do it.
Episode number 2. And really this episode is more of a mindset episode. You know what I mean? I mean, you are a dude who's gone through a bunch of stuff and you've had to endure and a lot of adversity, persevere through this bunch of negative health issues and things like that. So I wanted to discuss it a little bit here on episode 2, some of the stuff that you've been through, how you've been able to get through it, how you've been able to gain success, and kind of keep your eyes on the prize, man, how you've been able to move toward your goal, even though things were a little bit gloom and doom. And I'm sure that there was a little bit of uncertainty, on the back end that we couldn't see.
Most definitely.
Definitely. So why don't we discuss that? Because in the previous episode 1, we disclosed that Rob had dealt with some kidney failure issues, and we wanted to dive a little bit deeper on those issues and kind of how that came about, what that was like for you with your family. I know that you'd said that you were diagnosed when your son was 1 year old, or no, when your wife was pregnant.
I actually got diagnosed before we got married. We went in for routine physicals. And they told me that my kidney function level was a little bit higher than average and that they were going to watch me.
Higher than average, not lower than average?
No. I should say the numbers was higher than average.
Okay.
So a normal kidney function is the creatinine level is 0.4, I do believe, to like 1.7.
Okay.
And I started dialysis. Well, when they told me about mine, I think mine was a little elevated. It may have been high 1s, low 2s. But when I actually got hooked up to the machine, when I got on dialysis, I was at 19.5. And they told me I was a walking dead man.
Damn, bro. Dude, you want to know some crazy shit, bro, now that you're bringing this up, man? So I went in for a routine physical at one point in my life. I was probably about 22 or something. Yep. And they said my kidneys were jacked up.
Really?
They said my kidneys were jacked up. And she's gone through this whole thing. And then she said, dude, you can probably speak on this. She said, wait a second. What nationality are you? And I told her my nationality. My nationality is my dad is black, my mom is white. And I told her that, and she said, never mind, you're normal.
Which is kind of crazy because they say African Americans kidney functioning levels a little bit higher.
Yeah. So basically, she thought I was off, but then when she realized that I was half African American, then she was like, "Oh, never mind, you're good." And I was like, "Damn!" I went from thinking something was really bad to being like relieved. You know what I mean? But I was interested in learning that though.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic how that even is something you would think that the makeup, but I mean, a kidney's a kidney, but it all depends on, I guess, the nationality and how high your kidney runs, the range, what they see, so they can go off of however many people they see and, average it out. So I've never dove deep into any research on why that is, but with mine was at 19.5, they told me basically my wife was 5 months pregnant with our first child. She just quit her job. We both agreed that she'd be a stay-at-home mom. Her job was still having her lift things, and so it was like, just quit, be a stay-at-home mom. I'm working, I'm making money. We just bought a house a year prior to that almost, and so we thought everything was, we were building. We were actually building because we tore down our garage to make it bigger, and It was like a bunch of family members and friends over there were building the garage, pouring the concrete, let it settle, putting, frame up to the next week. And she had she went and got Burger King for everybody. And that day I had a migraine so bad that like I was on the bed rocking. Now, in between the time that they told me that my kidney functioning level was high, and then that time that we had built the garage, that was, let me see, it was probably close to, so we had been almost 2 years, maybe, because we got the physicals before we were married. And so
you knew something was up, but they didn't tell you.
And I never felt any of the symptoms that they kept telling me to look for. It was like, I'm fine. I'm still exercising. I'm doing all these things. And it's like, I didn't have blood in the urine. I wasn't throwing up, And then closer to that time where I had to start dialysis, those things started to happen. And I knew something was off. And when that day we were building the framing the garage, after I ate, I had a migraine so bad that, it just felt like my head was going to explode. And I was on the bed. I was rocking. I was crying. Like I had never felt like my head feeling like that. And we went into the doctor. I think it was a weekend. So we went in that next business day, which is probably Monday. And the nephrologist told me that I had to start dialysis before it was too late. And now sitting here thinking like, okay, my wife is 5 months pregnant. I got to start dialysis. Like, what is actually dialysis? Now, you told me that my kidneys was failing, but, what can you do, in the meanwhile? And they kept telling me, watch, we had to watch you. We had to monitor you. It's like, so what does that mean? Just watch and monitor me. Now I'm at a point to where you say I have to start dialysis. Now, what is dialysis?
And they say before it's too late, what does that mean?
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what does that mean? And he's like, he just looked at me and it's like, before it's too late. Now my wife is 5 months pregnant. I got to start dialysis in 2 days. He's explaining to me, what the procedure is. You're going and get a tube in your chest. You got to be on the machine. And I just remember the ride home, man. I was just, I had leaned back and I just remember crying like a baby, just like my whole world was upside down. Like it wasn't in the plans, so, and we had to learn on the fly.
How old were you?
I was 24, I do believe.
So you were a baby.
Yeah, I guess so. So when that happened, we had to go through that. I had to get familiar with dialysis, and I went from taking no meds, no drug, never using any drugs, never drinking any alcohol, to now, no Tylenol. I didn't even like Tylenol. And now all of a sudden, overnight, I'm at almost 20 pills a day. And
that's crazy, man.
Yeah. And so you're on a machine for 3 hours or 3.5 hours. And, I had took some pictures of myself, on the machine, not knowing whenever I'd use them, but just, for the whole memory aspect, but just thinking like hoping and praying that someday I will be out of this situation. And luckily I got out of the situation, but I went right back in 9 years later, to come out again, and just, I don't know, just to be sitting here talking about this is a miracle to me. And when I tell people I've had 2 kidney transplants, they're like, a lot of people don't even get one, let alone get 2 from family members.
That's true.
So the whole mindset of,
you can get kidney transplant outside of your family though, right? Like,
yes, you can.
You can. Yeah.
Yep. The whole mindset though was, after a while, I kind of got rid of woe is me and God, why are you doing this to me, to the point where, all right, if this is my life, I got to make the best of it. No more crying. No more feeling sorry for yourself. You know, you got a family. You got to get up and, you know, go to work and, you know, whatever happens, just take it. And there were some times in there where I just felt like I was going to die. There was a situation, you know, the dialysis had made my eyes really bad, my eyesight really bad. And to this day, that's why I always wear sunglasses, because of bright lights. Like driving without sunglasses, it's just this haze that I can't really see. And one of the times, this second time, matter of fact, the second time, the transplant, surgery, all of that was worse than the first time.
So, and why would you say that? What was the difference?
First time going on dialysis was the shock. You know, I'm on dialysis. I get the transplant. I come out immediately. My skin tone's different. I feel better. This is 11 months on dialysis. So then one of my younger brothers, Reggie, gives me a kidney transplant. Like I said, immediately skin changes, hair texture changes, skin is vibrant, feeling, you know, good after the 3 months of recovery, exercising, and, you know, things went smooth. Other than, you know, them feeding me broccoli 3 days after the surgery, when they put the kidney in your stomach, so they move all your organs. So not everything's settled. So when they fed me the broccoli after a 2 or 3 day liquid diet, the broccoli had nowhere to go. So my intestine, my gas, it just started building up. So they relieved that with an enema. So
well, it's been a very eventful episode too so far. 10 minutes in, my boy says enema.
But I'm just saying, I mean, you know, I when I was introduced to it, and I had every test probably under the sun by that time, before I started dialysis, or by when I was on dialysis. And there was tests I never even thought I'd even have or go through. Yeah. And it's like, so I mean, you felt like the bionic man in some sense. Like everything, it was a test here, a test there. It's like, I've never even heard of these.
And you go from not drinking, not doing nothing, to testing and doing all these medications and stuff like that. So you're 24 years old. You go through it. Your brother gives you a kidney. Your son is born.
Yes.
And you have a recovery period here, about 3 months.
Yep.
So you got to take 3 months off work. Your son's born. Your wife is a stay-at-home mom, and you own a home, and you're building a garage, right? So you have to get through this 3 months. How'd you get through that? How'd you get through that time?
Well, those 3 months, I'm not supposed to be in contact with anybody.
Not supposed to be in contact with anybody?
I have to sit down. I can't lift anything heavy. I have to.
What's the reason for not being in contact with anybody?
Because of the medications that you're on. So you're on immunosuppressant medication.
So it's like having COVID-19. Yes. You're in lockdown.
Yes, I've been on lockdown 2 times prior to COVID, so for 3 months. Yeah. So you got to think about it. When they give you a new kidney, or when they give you a kidney, they place it in your stomach. So your abdomen is at some point compromised. So your stomach muscles. So you know, you cough, you walk, you sneeze. You know, all of that comes from the abdomen. So when they cut you, you're sore. So you're just sitting around, just waiting to heal. So there was a time of the first kidney transplant, everybody left the house. My wife, my kid, I think might have been her parents there at the time, her late parents.
Did Netflix exist during this time? Did Amazon Prime exist? Or were you just chilling, watching this straight up, just watching Vikings or something like that, just binge watching? I'm pretty sure Game of Thrones or something like that.
Watching cable or something, but there was times when my brother would come by and visit. You know, he'd sit there, and he was in recovery too, because he gave me the kidney.
Oh yeah.
But I was at home by myself at this time, and I forgot what was in the basement that I had wanted. And I went downstairs, step by step, and whatever I went to get, I got it. And then when I went to come back up, I forgot that I had to raise my leg up. And once you raise your leg, you're using your stomach muscles. And so I couldn't actually raise my legs.
So you were stuck in the
So
basement.
I was stuck. So what I did is I sat down on the stairs and just pushed myself up on stair by stair just to get myself back up and kind of, get back to my feet when I got to the top of the stairs. And it's like, I'll never do that again. I would never go down the stairs again when nobody's home, especially,
You probably left like the remote control downstairs or something.
I don't even remember what it was, but I went downstairs. It was easy going down because, your legs are straight and you're just sliding them down the stairs. But coming back up, I had to lift my leg for each foot. And so when you lift that leg, that's activating the kidney muscle or the stomach muscles. And that's where they put the kidney in. And, other than those two situations, the broccoli and that, it was fine. But going into the second transplant,
so before we get to the second transplant, what was the mindset coming out of that first recovery, man? Because you mentioned, you had to go through a recovery where you probably didn't have much of an income, right?
No.
And so you had to figure something out during that time. How'd you? I don't know. I guess I don't mean to delve too deep into your personal life, but you did something to overcome that. I don't know if you received some help from somebody, if you had some savings, but you definitely stayed motivated to continue to work after that.
We refinanced our home.
See, and that's why real estate is the best investment in the planet.
Yep, we refinanced our home, and it actually gave us a little cushion. And my mindset after that was, I was happy to be alive, man. I go from playing basketball, being healthy, like I said, no alcohol, no pills, no Tylenol, to now I'm all of a sudden taking 20-something pills a day, to, like going in every week for the first 6 months, getting a lab draw and all these other tests. And it just was, it was overwhelming, but I was alive, and whatever, it took to stay alive, I was good with it. So, but, I got through that. And the second time, like I said, when the second time hit, it was really crushing, and I went through way more difficulties the second time than I did the first time.
So it's the first time you went through it, I actually hadn't met you yet. So the second time I actually was there when you started, when we found out, I actually was sitting. I was a client of yours at that point. Yeah.
When I started dialysis the second time.
When we started dialysis the second time, we found out that you had liver failure the second time. What causes a perfectly healthy kidney to fail? If it's healthy in your brother, why is it failing you? Do you know the answer to that?
Well, I think sometimes the immunosuppressants may not work, but
which is basically like the anti-rejection type medication they give you.
Yeah, sometimes, the anti-rejection medication and immunosuppressants are supposed to trick your immune system that the kidney is yours, or the foreign object in your body is yours, so your body doesn't fight it off. Now, my brothers did not do that. It did not reject, but I got sick. And in between the time of me getting sick, my creatinine level was going up maybe a year or two prior to that, and they put me on plasmapheresis. Now, instead of going on dialysis, plasmapheresis is a procedure where instead of them taking the blood out of my body like dialysis does and clean it, they took the plasma out of my body and cleaned it. And so I did that for a month. I had to have a tube back in my chest, just like I had for dialysis. And it dropped my creatinine level back down to the range where it was after my first kidney transplant, somewhere in that range. A few years later, I got sick. They said I had walking pneumonia, did a chest x-ray. I remember being like just burrowed over in the chair in the doctor's office, and I could hear my primary doctor talk to my nephrologist on the phone, and she said, yep, we'll go with that then. Like, this is what we're going to give him. And they gave me the medication called Augmentin. And once Augmentin hit my system, as bad as I was, I became
Worse.
10 times worse. It was like I had the flu or something, but something was wrong. And once they gave me the Augmentin, whatever I ate and drank did not stay down for 3 straight weeks. So I never had that issue the first transplant. And then with this second transplant, even with surgery, you know, going into surgery with my dad, you know, giving me a transplant. I remember the pre-med that they gave me. They relaxed me and my dad at the same time, and I could feel my throat closing. And there were 2 guys at the foot of the bed, and I said, "Can you get a doctor, please?" And they said, "Okay." But as time went on, the medication kicked in a little stronger, so I could see, but I couldn't talk. And so now I see myself getting wheeled into the operating room. I can see the lights, but I can't say anything. And so after surgery, after my dad gives me a kidney, my wife sees me come out like she seen me come out the first time. She said my skin was better looking. I remember giving a thumbs up vaguely after the first transplant. And then the second one, she said I just looked like something was wrong, and the doctors came in and told her that I had an allergic reaction. So during the surgery, they had to reverse all the pain meds. And so when I came to, I had no pain meds in my body. So I was laying in the bed just in excruciating pain. And I couldn't see because my potassium was so high. And so my wife would say something to me, or she would get close to my face, and it seemed like I had a piece of wax paper over my face, but I could see her silhouette, but I couldn't see her face.
But there was no wax paper.
No, it was just my eyes were so, my vision was so bad because my potassium was so high, and they couldn't give me anything because of my potassium. And I just kept whispering to her, like, "Are they trying to kill me?" I said, "They're trying to kill me. Are they trying to kill me?" And everything, you know, you could bump the bed and I could just feel everything. Like, I just felt like I was wide open. I remember just yelling and like in pain, and kept telling her to take pictures, or whoever was in the room. I didn't even remember who was in the room. I was just in so much pain. I just remember them saying that I was going to the ICU.
So why do you want them to take pictures?
Because I thought I might have had a case.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were trying to post it to the gram. Because if you know, my boy Rob, man, he's got like 15 Instagram accounts, man. The dog has an Instagram account. He's like, "Take pictures for the gram, please."
There was no gram back then.
He's like, "One day there will be the gram, and I will have this documented."
There was no gram. That was post gram, but just for
That was pre-gram, bro.
I mean pre-gram.
You don't want to see a world that's post-gram, bro. That's like the apocalypse for my boy Rob. He might as well just give him the zombie right now.
I just
man.
mean pre-gram. Yeah, but yeah, it was crazy, man. It was, I don't know. I mean, I survived it. I remember being in the room after I came to, you know, everything kind of went down, and they had me on morphine, and they kept telling me, you know, take more morphine for pain. I kept telling them, you know, I don't want any more morphine. There's something wrong with my stomach, you know, and this is like 2 or 3 days in, and my stomach felt like it was growing. It kept getting larger and larger in the area where they put the kidney. And I remember, because I compared everything to my first transplant. Mm-hmm. And for the second one, I started working out. Started doing a lot of sit-ups, push-ups, because I knew where they were going to cut. And so I was like, you know what? I have a personal challenge that I'm going to get out of the hospital faster than I did the first time. And so I started exercising, doing all these other things, just knowing what I was about to get myself into. Mm-hmm. And my stomach was growing, and I was still using a walker after 3 days after surgery. Now, my first transplant, I was walking the second day. And so I'm still using a walker on the third day, and I
Did
can't.
they at least put the tennis balls on the front of it?
I don't remember. But they want you to move to get the blood flowing so you don't develop any blood clots. Yeah. So I'm walking. I can barely move my right leg. I'm dragging my leg, and I know something's wrong. And so, they tell you to get on a scale, and I can't even lift my leg to get on a scale that's like this far off the ground. Now, in my urine bag, it's pink. It's not yellow. It's not clear. It's traces of blood in there. And they kept telling me that that's normal. And so as I'm looking at my stomach is bulging on one side. And I remember asking the nurse, like, can you guys just look at my stomach? And
so you guys got to keep in mind this whole time our hair is getting long as hell. All of his clients' hair is getting long, fucking wildebeest. Okay.
And so I told the nurse, I said, you know what? I said, I'm just going to throw up. And she said, you can't do that because we'll have to suppress you with a tube. And I'm like, what would you want to do that for? And she's like, she just gave me some explanation that didn't make sense to me. And so she asked me, did I want some nausea medicine? And I said, sure. Because at this time, I wasn't taking any morphine. And I kept telling them, I don't want any morphine. And they said, well, what's your pain level? Being 10 is the highest. I said, I'm a 12. But I'm not masking this anymore to keep taking morphine to cover whatever it is. And so she gave me the nausea medicine. And I knew that whatever hit my stomach, I was going to throw up. So once I took that pill, I started throwing up and I threw up blood. And so they had to give me an ultrasound stat. Now, once the ultrasound tech came in there, she put the gel on my stomach or on the X-ray machine, whatever the thing they use. She literally put it on my stomach, looked at the camera, 2 seconds, put it down and walked out the room. And I was like, yes. I said, I know you've seen something. Right after that, the doctor walked in. He's like, we have to go back in. There's a blood clot sitting on your nerves or sitting in there. I'm like, I've been telling y'all this for 2 or 3 days that something's wrong. I can't move my leg. So by the time I get back to the room, I call my wife and she's like, they already called me. Now I feel better going into this surgery than I did 3 or 4 days prior when I told them to get a doctor when I couldn't breathe. Mm-hmm. And so they knew not to give me that same pre-med. Now, the next morning, they did this in the middle of the night. Now, the next morning when I woke up, I lifted the covers, looked at my legs, lifted my right leg up by itself. I said, thank you, God.
Yeah, so now you know that everything's good.
You know what's crazy? I think I got out of the hospital, the first transplant, in 4 or 5 days. This time I got out in like 5 or 6 days. And I still almost reached the same time, which I was trying to beat the time from the first time.
Yeah, and you had a complication.
And I had a complication.
So now you're like, okay, now I need to get back to work again.
Yeah. Well,
you had to wait 3 months. You had a 3-month recovery again.
Yep, I had a 3-month recovery again. And that 3-month recovery was, from what I can recall,
I had pigtails at that point.
I think I think that 3-month recovery went pretty good from what I can recall. I don't remember any complications that I can recall for that 3-month recovery period. And once again, I'm thinking like, okay, I got to start over. While I'm at home for the 3 months, I think on the second month of doing nothing, I started riding my bike. And that's what my rehab consisted of. I bought a stationary bike the first time. I would get on the bike, have to ride it for a little bit, each day, ride it, keep adding on minutes, start doing little push-ups here, squats there, just building my body back to where I was comfortable, feeling strength, and because everything was stripped. So rebuilding my body and rebuilding my mind was very important because I still had a family to take care of, and like I said, I was just still happy to be alive. you know, from what I've went through and, you know, all the things that happened. And, you know, being here telling this story it's the first time that I've really, the first time I've been recorded, like telling this in depth, you know, other than working on that book, you know, bits and pieces, but getting interviewed and asked about, you know, certain details and everything, especially for a podcast.
It's funny because every time I see like an NFL player, like let's use Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
And he tears his ACL and he does his whole thing. We're watching him recover. And then he's like, all right, he's finally recovered. He gets traded to a good team. He's tearing it up. And then boom, Super Bowl rolls around. We see his tears his ACL again. The first thing I think of was like, damn, I couldn't even imagine being in that situation where I just dealt with this whole thing, this year-long recovery, and then boom, I got to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I think you live in a little bit of PTSD too. You know, so at some point, I remember getting back on a basketball court, and I had a friend of mine who actually had a kidney transplant who used to call me and see how I'm doing. I used to call him and see how he's doing. He's got a kidney transplant. We're in the basketball court, and I'm going to the hole. I'm getting fouled. I'm getting knocked down. And to me, it just felt good being out there feeling normal. To him, it was like he hadn't had a kidney transplant and went through that whole ordeal yet. He was like, man, y'all gonna have to stop knocking him down. And I was like, man, I'm good. He's thinking I'm still on dialysis. And I was like, no, I'm not trying to baby my body. I'm trying to see, you know, what my body is capable of. But he was like, man, I'm ready to fight somebody, you know, if they foul you hard like that. But, you know, I had to really go out there and test myself to see what I had, you know, because you go through a traumatic surgery like that, you don't know if you...
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, dude, you're probably tougher than the average guy, though, bro, just because you had to go through it. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I had a tooth pulled one time, and I was crying like a bitch. I wasn't crying physically, but I felt like a bitch. I didn't want to deal with it. I want nothing to do with this situation.
Yeah,
dental, man, if I have any dental procedure, anything that I have to, any procedure, honestly, man, I get a shot, I feel like it's the end of the world, man. So the fact that you had somebody cut you open and put 4 to 5 kidneys inside of your body, man.
4 to 5.
My man Rob has 4 kidneys right now.
2 are mine. 2 aren't.
That is,
but one works.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And that in itself, man. I mean, you can pretty much do anything once you've been through something like that.
Yeah, that's the mindset. That is definitely the mindset. I mean, if you like I said, if you get out of the woe is me, and it's easy to fall into that, and then you use whatever your pain is as your fuel, especially to get paid off of your pain, it can be done. But you have to be around people that are like-minded. You know, not everybody has gone through what you've gone through, but you still have to be around people that like to push themselves, you know. Like I like to be around people that work out. I like to be around people that try to take their businesses to another level. Yeah. I like to be around people who think positive, you know, who talk positive. Because you get into a situation and next thing you know, you're questioning yourself, you're downing yourself, you got self-doubt, you know, and that comes with the territory. But if you can ride this wave and elevate yourself and then get that elevation from people around you, that's a plus.
I mean, you are the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with, man. That's like a scientifically proven situation, man. So yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's why we do this podcast together, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very like-minded in that case, except for when it comes to me, I'm kind of a bitch, and I don't want to go through a surgery like you had to go through.
Oh, yeah.
I hope I don't have to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the previous episode, we were talking about my eyesight.
Yeah.
Or was it this one?
I think it was this one. You were talking about the wax paper.
Yeah, and so I had a procedure. I was getting ready to get a procedure done one time. This was the second, I think the second time or the first time. I went to the hospital 2 times in 3 weeks, and I stayed a week each time when they had gave me that augmentin. So I remember somebody from transport coming to get me out of my room, and we were going to the eye appointment. And the eye appointment was across the street from where the hospital was at, and we had to take an elevator underground, through a tunnel. And I was so tired and so beat up from the diarrhea, the vomiting, being back on dialysis and having that medication still in my system. I used to keep my phone underneath me everywhere I went, and I called my wife and told her, I said, I'm headed to my eye appointment. I just got off dialysis that morning. I think they started me at like 4:35 a.m. for 3 hours and some odd minutes. You got doctors coming in, you got phlebotomists coming in, you got, just everybody coming in checking on you. So you never really got a chance to sleep, never really got a chance to eat. I'm sitting here with this lady that's transporting me in a wheelchair. We're standing at the elevator. I'm sitting in the wheelchair, and I'm talking to my wife, telling her I'm about to go to my eye appointment. And I pass out on the phone with my wife. And my wife tells me that all she hears is the lady saying, Robert, 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 and then starts screaming for help. Now, I wake up, I'm back in my room, and I just remember somehow handing my phone to somebody in the room. Maybe it was like maybe 4 or 5 people in the room. I just remember handing my phone to somebody in the room saying, can you please call my wife? And whoever was talking to her, they gave me the phone. I remember just apologizing. She was on the other end crying, and she thought that I was gone. And to be her on the other end of that phone, I couldn't have imagined hearing somebody yelling my name and then yelling for help, and she knowing how sick and how, battered I was at that time. And I just remember apologizing, saying sorry. I just said sorry so many times I can't even remember. Like it was anything I could do. It was like I was talking to her, like I'm headed to my eye appointment, and boom, like I was so beat, like I just passed out right then and there in the chair. And when I woke up, I was in my room again. And that situation right there, her being at home with the kids and not being there by my side, I couldn't imagine that. So that was one of the situations. And like I said, the other situations was like the blood clot, them going back in. I remember being on dialysis too, and sometimes I never would even get home. I would have to go straight to the hospital. I would crash on the machine. And there was a time where I called her and I just said, I think they're trying to kill me. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to make it. And
so in hindsight, do you think those thoughts were just, were they justifiable thoughts, or were they just, you were just going through some hard times? I mean,
I think it was both.
Okay.
Because I would end up in the hospital, and when you go to the hospital, like if you're on dialysis, they don't know your whole situation. So now you have to tell them everything that you go through or that you're on medication-wise. You got to tell them that you're a dialysis patient. So now when you come in there and they draw your blood, your labs are so roller coastery. They're like, oh, we got to do this. No, you don't have to do that because I'm a dialysis patient. I remember going in one time, there's like, oh, your pancreas, we got to remove your pancreas. Like, wait a minute. It's like, first, look at this, call this person, look at all these meds. This level is normal because I'm on dialysis and this and that. And they was ready to remove my pancreas. I was like, this is crazy. So, you deal with a bunch of things that, you imagine walking in somewhere and they take your blood or they check you and it's like, oh, we have to do this. That's because this is what the book says. You have to get to know the person and see what they're going through before you make those type of decisions. And I've been in many situations to where I've told people that, this is the situation, but the levels in the sheet said something different. So now they want to remove this or they want to put you on that. And it's like, that's not the case.
So meanwhile, Rob's going through all this shit, and I'm like, "Hey, Rob, how you doing, bro?" Can you get me in on Friday, man? When you back?
Some people told me this. I'll come to the hospital room. It's like, man, you're trying to get me infected.
So yeah, man. So let's talk about the comeback, man. Let's talk about the comeback because now you got the salon, you got everything that you're doing right now, the merchandise, everything else. So let's talk about the comeback from the second one. You had your 3 months off, and then you had to fight your way back, man. What was that process like?
That process was basically finding myself, getting to know me again, getting to know my body again, getting to be familiar with the meds. I had been on them, so I've been dealing with this for 20 years now. So to go from being on dialysis and not being able to eat certain things, and you have to take certain medications to suppress certain things, to now you're on medications, you have to take this, you have to eat these certain things. It's kind of like, okay, first of all, you said my phosphorus is high, so stay away from this. Now you say my phosphorus is low, and now I got to eat this. So it's like a roller coaster. So you got to get your mind right to take the pills morning and night. You have to get your body right, but not everybody does that. Some people don't go in for their routines, So for the rest of my life, I'll go in once a month to get my blood drawn to see what my kidney levels are like. So mentally, first of all, you have to accept the situation, for one. So once you accept that, now you move forward from there and you work on your body. Make sure you drink a lot of water. You have to keep the kidney hydrated. That's why people always see me with big jugs or gallons, and I'm walking around and I'm going to the bathroom a lot because I had to keep the kidney in water, keep it wet, keep it hydrated. So you don't want to dehydrate yourself. So the mindset of drinking water, making sure you take your pills.
How much water do you drink a day?
I drink close to a gallon.
I drink a gallon a day for 2.5 months recently.
Really?
It was hard. It was hard to hit a gallon. Like I could do it, but.
And sometimes you're not supposed to drink a gallon because it can flush out other things. But I just don't want to take that chance of, my kidney being hydrated, because you can eat a food or something and then next thing you know, your creatinine levels up a little bit, and then you got to pound the water, and then you go back in the next week for a recheck. So it all depends, because that's a delicate level that you're dealing with. But as far as the mindset, you got to really think.
And creatine affects your creatinine levels, right?
I was told that. I've never taken creatine, but I was told because you have to drink a lot of water with creatine.
When I was younger, and I had high creatinine levels, and I jumped off it because of that.
Did you have to drink a lot of water with creatine?
You're supposed to drink a lot of water with creatine. It makes your body retain water as well. But I went in for a routine, and my creatinine levels were high, and they said it was due to creatine. So I stopped taking creatine because I didn't know anything about it. But it's crazy what people find out when they're taking like muscle supplements or weightlifting supplements, But yeah, my mindset was basically warrior, man. It's like, I'm here, I got to make the best of it. So that's why I started doing, the exercising. Started focusing on things that I can improve on, focusing on people I was around, focusing on people I can build with. A lot of things did not matter to me that were out of my control. Like arguing is like, for what? Why raise my blood pressure too? You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
It's
like harder probably to move your meter, man.
It's crazy how that worked. It's like, that's not worth my energy. That's not worth my energy. That's not worth my energy. So now you're guarding yourself, because you look at life different, man. Yeah. You look at life totally.
Just happy to be alive,
man. Just happy to be alive.
How many more kidneys do you think you can fit inside yourself and still be as ripped as you are, man?
Hopefully none. I don't want to. I don't want to go through none of that again. So
yeah, man. Hopefully not.
Hopefully none.
I know dudes with less kidneys than you that don't have as slim of a midsection as you have, man. What's your secret, man? Is your is your physique, man? Is that a byproduct of you worrying about your kidney situation, or is your physique just kind of something that you work on in general, and as a byproduct, you stay healthier for your kidney?
I think that it started when I know that for a fact it started when I was a younger age, because I was into fitness so much. I played basketball a lot, and so playing basketball, staying in shape, lifting weights was a routine of mine. So being that my dad laid that groundwork, when it came to the kidney, when I had to bounce back, it was like, okay, I've done this before, or I lived this lifestyle of fitness, so I'm used to working out. Now, starting over from zero muscle, that was something different. So just to ride the bike for 10 minutes one day, do 2 push-ups one day, to a week later, now I'm at, 20 minutes. Now I'm at 6 push-ups. It's like, okay, I have something to build on, and just keeping that snowball rolling. And it's like, okay, I'm familiar with working out, but now I got to see if my body responds. And so the muscle memory was there. And to do it twice, I think that's maybe even a greater feat than actually starting it, because now it's starting from zero twice, and especially at an older age when you have so much other things going on. The mindset was, I can let this rule me, or I can rule it and be one of the best comeback stories that I know of.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Eric Thomas, and he says, if you burn down my house, it doesn't matter because I got the blueprint.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, you still got to put the hammer and the nails and the wood together, and
yeah, you still got to do the work.
You got to put the work, and that's the thing.
You people got to know how to build it back.
It's crazy how people say, "Oh man, you're still well." Yeah, I'm still ripped, but I had to put the work in to get this. It wasn't like I got a kidney transplant and magically I got fit again. No, I had to put the work in. And I mean, I can't help if you didn't put the work in, and I decided to put the work in. I can help you do it, but don't look at me being mad at me.
Just to clarify, he's not speaking to me because
no.
those of you guys watching on YouTube can see that my physique is also on point.
No, but there's some people that told me, like, man, you didn't have to do that much. Well, okay, get a kidney transplant, and then
I mean, I'm gonna try not to do that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like when people don't see what it took to get here, and they see here, then it's easy to say something like that.
I use this analogy all the time. I joke about everybody's like this. I use Batman Begins, man. Remember the Batman where he it was the first one with Christian Bale, and it shows him as like a kid, and his parents got to get murdered, and he's got to train as a martial artist and do all this stuff and go away, do all this stuff, become Batman and all this stuff. But we see all this stuff happen in 90 minutes. And so it's like people imagine everything should happen that quick. You know what I mean? Yeah, this whole thing it's all about consistency. It's all about doing the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them at a very high level. That's how you succeed, right? It's about, it's really just about doing things consistently. It's not even about doing things the absolute best a person can do. It's about doing it consistently. It was Bruce Lee that was talking about he doesn't fear the man. He fears the man who can do 1 kick a day for 1,000 days versus the man who does 1,000 kicks a day, or in one day, I should say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're obviously going to improve over time.
Consistency is the word. That is the correct word, consistency, because if you can't hold yourself accountable and be consistent, then it's not going to work. It's no different from me making that first haircut feel and look good, as opposed to me making that 4th haircut feel and look way better. So if I'm consistent on doing a push-up a day, you do 1 push-ups and 1 push-up, and then now you doing 20, 30, 40 push-ups. So consistency is the key. It's a big reason why, you know, people are successful in certain things that they do, because they stay consistent.
Absolutely, man. It's just about doing the monotonous things every single day, man. It's the slight edge, really. You ever read the book The Slight Edge?
No.
Jeff Olson, The Slight Edge. You should read that book. It's actually the same as Atomic Habits is another book. Talks about it. Basically the same concept. Being consistent every day is like the superpower, man. That exponential gain that you get from doing the monotonous things that nobody wants to do every single day is how you gain the edge on everybody else, man. We got episode 2 in the books, bro.
Yes, we do.
Episode 2 in the books is about 1 a.m. right now.
Yes.
About 1 a.m. putting in that work, consistency.
A couple microphone fiends right here.
Couple microphone fiends right now.
After 12, we're worse than gremlins.
All right, man. Well, hey, I'm happy to be doing this, man.
Me too.
I'm happy to be doing this.
Yeah.
So people better watch out for episode 3, though, because that's coming right around the corner.
Yeah, for sure. The Rob and Corey Show. Bring you that consistent content. Stay consistent.
Absolutely. Consistency, baby.
Consistency is key.
Watch me educate. Yeah, we been coulda started, but it's never late. Do it for my kids, yeah, let's set it straight. Do it for your kids, gotta set it straight. It's time to regulate.